Welcome to Calling Cousins. This is cousin Ash, married with two kids, a boy and a girl, calling from Arizona. We want to thank everyone for joining us today.
Cousin Shaw here. I'm a single mom of one boy calling from Colorado. Parenting can be beautiful, but it can also be ugly. We hope these topics bring you and your family some knowledge and understanding.
And silence is golden unless you have a toddler. Right. The topic we have for today is basically random parent advice from a website called Scary Mommy.
Which made me super laugh. I'm gonna have to look up her other stuff too to see what else she got.
Yeah, it sounds
Um,
pretty accurate. I mean, I why did it make me think of Scary Spice? Like I'm
oh,
over
that's
here in
funny.
like my 90s. Like, oh, I wonder if there's like a baby mommy. What?
Well, and like, is it scary like she's a tough mom, or is it like, oh my gosh, being a mom is scary,
I don't know.
or both?
Both can be read a
Okay.
lot of ways
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna
because
kind of this link has a lot of information. I am not reading all this information. I'm gonna touch the bullets, and then we haven't read this yet, so you're gonna learn right along with us. See if this is
and
good
we'll give
advice or not.
our 2 cents as we go
Yes. So this first
because
one I
we just
love.
can't help it.
This first one I love. It's good advice for just life, but it says trust your gut always. I don't have a specific story to that, but like I don't know if you have one cousin, but basically I think it kind of covers if your child's being weird, right? If they're acting weird, like trust your gut to like maybe you can read them better.
I don't know. I kind of have like a an opposite thing, and it just happened to come up, and I was talking to my husband. But I was looking through my photos. My son just had his birthday recently, and so I was looking back at all of the years and everything. And one of the photos of him as like a little, like maybe 2, 3 months old, he had like eczema all over his eyes, and his eyes were just red and blotchy and spotty. And I was like, how did I not panic as a new mom and like rush him to the emergency room with that? Like when you look at the picture, it looks really bad. And it
Yeah.
looks almost exactly like his anaphylaxis reaction, minus like the swelling, but like
Hmm.
the redness looks like hives. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, you know what? I was doing okay. Like I didn't rush. I put lotion on him and we worked out like we didn't, there was nothing wrong. There was no need to go to the emergency room. So I kind of like felt proud of myself now because obviously now we're years into this parenthood thing and we kind of like looking back, we're like, oh, okay, that was dumb, like all the things that we did. But that was one thing that I was like, all right, cool. I trusted my gut that nothing was wrong in that instance and it was okay. And so I feel like that was kind of the opposite of what most people do, like
Okay.
trusting your gut and panicking and taking your kid, which
You're
I'm
like
not
something's
judging
wrong,
that either.
something's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, like if that's what you do, then that's what you do. But also, like, there have been many times also in the same sense where my son slipped in the shower. Now we have a huge bath mat that covers the entire thing, by the way.
Been there.
He slipped in the shower and he hit the back of his ear on the spout, the water spout, and it was bleeding and it was like a gash, like you could see the tissue in there, and it was kind of, but I showed it to my cousin, my other cousin, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I think you should go to the emergency room." And we went there. We waited hours, right? We finally got in. The doctor looked at it, put a band-aid on him, and we went home. And I was like, "This is stupid.
Really?
Like we should have known better. Like the bleeding had stopped. It was totally fine. But like, I don't know, you get into such panic mode either way with trusting your gut that I feel like just
But I
it
do
doesn't
think
hurt to
like
go in.
well, and I don't have a specific story for parenting. But like trusting your gut, like if you're in an awkward situation and you just know like this doesn't feel right, it just does not feel right. I'm trying to teach my son
Mhm.
that, like pay attention, like you know what's right, you know what's wrong. Um, My only example, I guess, for parenting is when I got pregnant, and that is literally in my gut. But I just knew that it was going to be okay. Like I had no doubt in my mind. I didn't think about an abortion or anything. And it was a scary time for me, and the family was panicked and stuff, but I it was like I'm just going to figure it out. And so that's the only example I have. So that's more life lesson, but um and like maybe it's more like they're friends. If you have a weird feeling about a friend that they're hanging out, like trust your gut and okay, maybe this my kid shouldn't hang out with that friend.
Yeah, but that's also hard because as a kid, your parents are telling you not to hang out with that person, and what are
So
you
you
gonna do?
rebel. Well, and
Hmm.
it's hard for me to actually look at it from that perspective because my kid is still little, so I can choose his friends. So,
Fair.
yeah, when the time comes, I will feel the same.
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out because I think about that all the time. Like the people that I hung out with in high school were
Yeah,
not the best.
true. All my friends were fine. I'm a
Not all
good
of them.
kid.
Yeah, no, you're a weirdo.
Yeah. Okay, this next one, this is very good advice. When your kids start school, get to know their teachers. Don't just drop them off and like go about your day. Like go in, say hello, get to know them, learn about them. Your kid is hanging out with them. You want to know how your teacher speaks, how they present themselves, what they're teaching. So doing research about the school is one thing, but personal research about the teacher is, plus it just makes it better because then it makes the teacher feel more comfortable talking to you or talking to the kid, and it's a good thing.
I agree with that totally. And I feel like that's something that even my mother called out to me the other day because I'm sure we've mentioned this, but she was barely 18 when she had me. So she was young and, going through that kind of stuff when you are a child yourself, having your child
Hmm.
go to school, it's very difficult. She said she never spoke to my teachers. She never, if there was something that she had a problem with, she never brought it up. She never talked about it. It was just a
Really?
non-issue. Yeah. Until I was in high school and I had this awful teacher. I remember her. I'm not going to say her name, but I remember it. She was the worst. And she told me something that no teacher should have ever told a child about school and succeeding and stuff. She basically told me I was done and I couldn't go anywhere in her class. And,
Cool.
she was one of the ones that was in tenure, should have probably retired 5 years ago. Like she just was not a great teacher. But anyway, my mother, that was the first time she stood up for me as a student was when I was in high school. And like that's
Wow.
crazy to me. Like my son is in first grade and I have sent that teacher so many emails. Like not mean and I'm also the room parent, so that's also, I send her a lot of emails on that, but a lot of like again, first grade, my son came home with an accident. He had an accident. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, you don't really have accidents anymore. And he was like, well, she wouldn't let me go during math. And I was like, she wouldn't let you go to the bathroom. And I was so mad. And then so the first one, it was kind of like, sorry, my son has a hard time holding, and also it was number two. Like it wasn't even number one. Like he
Oh,
had to go number two. And so I was like, oh, like that irritated me. And then the second time it happened, it was to both him and my niece the same time. And she really never has accidents. And so she got in the car. First thing she said to me was, yeah, our teacher wouldn't let us go during math again. And I was like, so I sent the teacher an email and I'm like, listen, if math is that important that you can't send the kids to the bathroom, like you need to
have them go
remind them to go
before.
before math. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you need to help them remember to go or something. Or like do a little reminder while you're switching subjects or something. And anyway, I am like thinking that my mother never did that for me is crazy. But I feel like a lot of parents out there are like that because you don't want to poke the bear. But
Ex-
again,
well,
like what you
yeah.
said, you know, that's
Well, and
your kid is
especially,
there for how many hours?
yeah, when your kid is that little, and like, what if the kids didn't communicate that? They're just, I'm sorry, mommy. And then you're just hounding them,
Right.
hounding them, hounding them. So it's like with me, like my son, he was having accidents in kindergarten, and it was frequent. It was every day, and he was also getting in my car and was like I have to go to the restroom. So I was like, why'd you leave school if you had to go to the restroom? So I was getting pissed off at him or whatever. And then he's like, my teacher never takes me. So I confronted her and I was like, hey, like I'm approaching you with a grain of salt. And like, this is just what my kiddo's telling me and blah, blah, blah. And she told me, she's like, no, I give them plenty of options and he chooses not to go. And so I was able to build that relationship to be like, okay, like now I have to stand on the teacher's side and teach my son respect with the teacher. And it still goes into the relationship with the teacher either way, like if you can approach them with positive or negative things. I would say, like, just to tag onto this a little bit, also get to know who the parents are that your kids are hanging out with. So as your kid grows up and goes to houses and that kind of stuff, like get to know those parents and see the houses that they're going into. Don't just, you know,
Drop them off.
see you later. Yeah, exactly. Like
Right.
it's you are responsible for that child until that child moves out. So um, take responsibility.
Yeah, I agree. Like my husband and I talk about this all the time. Like I think I had too much freedom as a child, and he, you know what, he probably did too, and he's just being dramatic when I hear the stories. He had a lot of freedom, and I'm like, now I need to like rein it in and like give my kids freedom, but
Yeah.
also like I'm cautious about it because again, too much freedom as a child, and I got into some trouble that I shouldn't have gotten into.
Yeah, I definitely had like to me it was like the right amount of freedom. I didn't have hovering parents. The only thing my dad would hover on was homework and stuff. And I don't remember how old I was, but I remember I was a kid and he was impressed. And I told him, I was like, Dad, I was like, I have this project coming up. And I was like, in order for me to earn your trust, I want to show you that I can do this by myself. So you are never allowed to remind me. You're never allowed to ask me how it's going. Nothing. I was like, I will tell you when the project's done and I will tell you the grade. And I even told him when it was supposed to be done, right? So then he could ask, and I got an A minus on it. And it was like a pretty intense project. Like it was like you had to build something on as well as write something about it. Um, and so I did good, and I didn't have his help. I didn't ask for help. He didn't remind me or anything. And so ever since then, he's like, okay, I can trust you now. So it's like yes, you want to be involved and monitor your kids and that kind of stuff, but the freedom is a big thing because otherwise, if you're just hounding them all the time, they're never going to be okay without you. You know,
Yeah, that's
I'm,
so
I,
true.
yeah, it's ugh. Okay. This next one is hard. It's so hard not to do this, but don't judge other moms or parents. Don't judge other parents. It's so hard for me. It is very
I
hard for
agree.
me.
I agree. And I feel like it's hard for all the parents. But okay, I have done some stupid things where I know parents are judging me for it. So I try to put myself in that perspective. Like I literally walk. So again, room parent, I go help with grading, right? There's this little boy who is so smart, so smart. He knows all the spelling words, but he is always like standing up and like messing around. And
He's
he gets
bored.
off, yeah, and he gets off on his spelling test by one number, and then he all of them are wrong because technically that's not the word that's supposed to be on there. And so when I was grading his test,
Oh,
yeah, it's so frustrating, right? So like I was grading his test and I asked the teacher, I was like, "Do you want me to mark these as correct? Because technically like they're all spelled correctly." And she was like, "No, like we need to prove a point." And so I was like, "Okay." So when I saw his mom one time at a birthday party, and I was like, "Oh, have you ever got your son tested for ADHD?" And I like word vomit. Like that is so not appropriate to talk to somebody about right away. Like, because he's the smartest kid, but he can't stay still. And so I was like, oh my God, the whole way home, of course, I'm obsessing about it. I'm like, she probably thinks I'm the rudest person. And I don't think I'm the rudest person. So I'm like, okay. So just from that, I'm like, oh, take it in. Like other parents do that kind of shit all the time. And then being a
yeah.
part of like the PVO, the group with all the moms and everything, I see the messages about mistakes made, about their bulletins not being done in time, about all the stuff that like we obsess about because we need to be perfect and come off with that perfect persona, but we fail all the time. And so I feel like if you look at it from that point of view, it's fine. But then also there are points of view where like you could tell kids may be being neglected and that kind of stuff, and you have to kind of like judge the parents. Like you have to kind of look at
Right.
it, well, not, I guess not judge, but like observe so that you can notify the people if something is really going on. But I feel like that's more of an intense situation.
Yeah, I see, and I tend to judge the parent more than the kid, because I'm like, right, the kid's learning from the parent.
Right.
Um, and so I'm like, man, I was like, you know, how they talk, how they act, and like the ADHD thing to me, it's like that kid's just not challenged enough. Like he needs to be in a higher grade, in my opinion.
I
Um,
agree.
and if he worked his brain harder, because obviously he's excelling, if he worked his brain harder, he might not be as wiggly. Plus, boys are just wiggly. Like they're just wiggly. My son lately, he's been like, he will not stop moving when it's bedtime. And I'm like, yo, like, you need to stay still. And he's like, but I'm not. I'm like, it's because you keep fucking moving. Like, stop moving and your body will cool down. And he's like, I'm like, when you're sitting up and sitting down and doing this and moving the blanket and trying to reach a toy, and I'm like, you are like increasing your blood pressure. And I was like, just your body will naturally cool if you stay still. Stay still. And he's like, but I can't. I'm not like you. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, so then I have to like meditate him. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, breathe in your nose, breathe out your mouth, relax your toes, relax your feet. And I walk him through the whole thing. And by the time I'm done with head to toe, he's relaxed. But it's so if they're just wiggly beans.
I agree with that. And because my son's the same way. Like literally, for some reason this week when we're doing homework, I've asked him if he has to pee like 12 times. So I'm like,
Yeah,
you're just being so jittery. And he's like, no, mom, I don't have to pee. And I'm like, okay, well then stop acting like it. Like
I
stop
know.
wiggling your whole body.
I know. My son does that, and he'll be reading and he moves the book like this, and then he sits down, he stands up, and he's like on his back, and then all of a sudden I look at him, he's upside down, and I'm like, oh my
What are you
gosh,
doing?
sit down and read. And he's getting way
Yeah.
better at it, um, but then he's like messing up the words and dropping the book and losing his page. I'm like, big surprise. But anyways, yeah, I am very bad at judging other parents. I try to watch myself and try to think of what they're going through. It's funny because like when I look at a human being, I don't judge them, but when I look at a child and parent situation, I judge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm weird.
I think that's because that's like your phase of life right now.
That is, yeah. It's very
Especially
my parenting is very important to me. Yeah,
like
yeah.
you notice the thing that is your focus.
Hmm.
Like, yeah. But to be clear, set no parents judge me. If that kid did have ADHD, I wouldn't be like, you need to get him on medication because I agree that like there are other steps you can take. And I do feel
Oh
like
yeah.
in that school that we have, they have an accelerated program. And my only hope is that because they go based off of grades, and if he is failing because the teacher keeps grading his tests the way
Hmm.
that she was, then he didn't make it into the accelerated. But also, I feel like that parent had to do what we were talking about and go to the teacher and be like, no, my kid is actually very smart. So anyway, I
Right.
just hope that he went in. And if that mother comes to
Well,
my kid's birthday party or whatever, we see each other again, I'm going to apologize because that was totally inappropriate.
yeah, and that's perfect for you to apologize. Apologies go a long way. And like my thing is like I wish we're getting off rail a little bit, but I wish that like schools would be more based on like, hey, like this kid spells great, but he's off one line, right? So what's a method that we can teach him, to get his mind to remember that you write on top of the line, not under it. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's also my thing. Like, I was curious with the teacher, and if it was my kid, I would ask the teacher, like, hey, do you say number 13 is this word? Number 14 is this word, so that they can keep track of where they are because they're numbered on there. And I know that that shouldn't be on the teacher. The teacher should just be able to go through the list. But at the same time, if if that is what helps, then maybe give it a try. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything in my opinion,
Well,
but I'm also not a teacher, so
and to me, it's like if you look at a regular letterhead or whatever, not letterhead, but little ones with lines, right? Like the old school papers. Like, why would you write on top of the line? You would write on the first line, right? Which is the first line. So it's like if you say the first one is this, you're not paying attention to the numbers and that the line is underlining them. You just think the first line, second one, second line. So he might not even be looking at the numbers. Does that make sense? So
well,
like to
it's
me,
like
like if they need to be separated more, right? So he understands that you write on top of the line, not underneath, on top. So then he can start seeing the line instead of seeing Sunk. Does that make
Well, in
sense?
this, yes, but in this situation, like he'll do the first few perfect, and then he'll
Oh,
write in another word and then get off by a line. So like I don't know if it's like maybe she said a word the teacher did or something that he thought was a spelling word and he put it in there,
oh,
or
sweetheart. Yeah,
and like
that's
he keeps
different
going.
too.
So like yeah, and so I'm like if she just like helped him get back on track, then like I feel like they'd be like, oh shoot, I messed up one, but then they wouldn't get them all wrong. They would only get two wrong,
Right, right.
until they got back on track. And so I'm like, it's just whatever. We're getting way off topic, but it's just a difficult situation. And that kind of covers too, like don't judge because obviously like that kid is, going through something like he's jittery or whatever. Or like you said, bored. He's
Yeah,
I think he's bored. I agree with
I
that
think he's
completely.
bored. Yeah.
Um, but then also talk to your teacher.
Okay, so this next one is which I'm not I'm better at. But anyway, starting now, be aware of what you're feeding them. So I never worried about the feeding when he was or the eating when he was younger because I'm like I think I tried to go hard when he was 3 and I was sending him to school with healthy foods and stuff, and he didn't like it. And so well, it wasn't even just healthy. Like I was making muffins, so they were pancake muffins with like meat and eggs in there. So like scrambled eggs and sausage, and then I put them in a muffin tin with the pancake mix, and I make muffins. That's not the healthiest, but it had the protein, and I had the sweet for him, right? And I had the starch. He wouldn't eat them. He didn't like them. Um, and so he just wouldn't eat lunch. And so then I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna be that mom, and you have to finish your lunch and snack before you get dinner. He wouldn't eat dinner. And then the next day I would send him with the same lunch that he didn't eat. He wouldn't eat lunch. And then so this kid at 3 years old would go a day and a half without eating. I'm not fucking doing that. Like I fed him. I give him what he want. In you know, um we compromised on a lot of stuff. But that wasn't my focus on parenting. I focused more on his behavior and cleaning up after himself. But now that he's older, I'm starting up the eating again because now his behavior is good. His cleaning up after himself is good. So now I'm focusing on his eating. And I tell you what, he is doing so much better when we go to restaurants. I make him get something that he normally wouldn't eat. So he's always trying new things. I make him try my meal, that kind of stuff. So I'm getting him to eat all kinds of stuff that he never ate before, vegetables included. Um, so it's hard. It's hard, but you got to pick your battles. And they say that when it comes to nutrition, they get it within a week time frame. So like if you don't get him or her the perfect food one day, it's not the end of the world. Just focus on it for the week. Try to get the fruits and veggies and protein and all the good things.
Yeah, I so there are two things. One, I remember this was always a struggle with you and him because you went to the doctor and the doctor was like, eventually he'll eat. So I can't imagine
And
like a
he
day and a
didn't eat
half.
that much, yeah. And
Oh,
he
poor
was
baby.
always he was always like 20 to 30% percentile for weight. So he was always underweight. And so when he went that day and a half without eating, I saw ribs and I was like, we're done. We're done. I tried to
Yeah.
be that harsh mom, but we were fighting every meal. So that was not a good relationship between us. And it was just a bad time. And you know what? Everything will eventually work out.
Balance out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I follow this a lot when it comes to eating because I actually thought, and he still could, but anyway, sorry, derailing a little bit. My son, I thought had ADHD, and I don't feel like he needs medication at this point. So I was going through um like all the natural stuff because that's more my mindset, the vitamins that he needs, the foods, whatever. And there are so many foods that help. Like, and so many things that just in general are healthier, like cutting out red food dye.
Oh,
I know
oh
that
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
law, like they just got rid of the red dye 5 or something,
40.
but no, the 40 is one that is staying, but the 5 or
No,
whatever is the one that they got rid. Yeah,
no.
because hold on, I'm
Continue
Googling
talking.
on my
No,
other computer. Okay,
you
okay,
tell your story. I'm Googling.
okay. So anyway, that is something that is so great. Like they're noticing it and it's a big change, but it's not like the answer because they didn't get rid of it completely.
We were both wrong. It's number three.
Oh, three. But yeah,
What the
so
fuck? It's
maybe it's
40 that's the bad one.
yeah. So they didn't get rid of 40. But anyway, that was so that's something that I've been hyper focused on. But at the
Oh,
same
it's banned
time,
in Europe.
yeah, like, and it's so many, like, okay, so I follow a lot of baking pages because I like to bake, and everybody's freaking out about it. But there are so many other natural, like beets. People use beets and dried beets to color things, and it has like no flavors. Anyway, I'm hoping that the 40 becomes a thing because it's really like, I know if you have like Google anything about it, the celery sticks that kids have done the testing on and all that kind of stuff with just the food dye drops and how fast it
Mm-hmm.
kills the celery. Like it's just crazy to me. So
What,
so
like
anyway,
eats away at it?
it just like droops, but all the others like they'll do blue and yellow and green and whatever, and all the others are like perky, and then the red one is just like dead. And it's just crazy. Like it's scary to me that, it's so normal. And I know a lot of parents feel that way. So anyway, we cut it out in our day-to-day lives. But at the same time, and this is something that I had mentioned to my dad and my stepmom because they were laughing at me because I don't like it. Like we buy natural fruit snacks that don't have it in there and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I brought over red, white, and blue ice cream to their house. And I was like, I know this has red dye in it, but it's no big deal because I don't want to be that mom. Like, and maybe it's because my kids have allergies and we have to cut out so much other food. Like, if we
Yeah.
go to a birthday party and they have red frosting on the cake, my kid's gonna have that cake. Like, it's fine as long as there's no nothing in it, you know? But
I always forget. I forget. I honestly forget.
and that's fine. Like, it's not on a lot of parents' minds. And so I'm not gonna have my son like not have that cake or bring an extra cake for him, which I probably should do anyways because of his allergy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to let him enjoy that and let him have it. So I feel like kind of like we were talking about in a previous podcast that everything in portions, right? So like if it's small, if it's at a birthday party, if it's a random dessert that he wanted to pick out with red sprinkles, like heaven forbid, I'm gonna let him. Like it's as long as it's not a part of our everyday thing, I feel like it's okay.
Yeah, I
So
don't know.
anyway, that is a huge thing with ADHD is the red dye. And then there are also so many other things like obviously sugar. So sugar is a big thing.
I love my
And
sugar.
but then like I was also told, so I just got him tested and he actually does not have ADHD. Um or dyslexia is really what I was getting him tested for, and he does not have dyslexia either. And then the doctor there
Well,
told
that's
me
cool.
also that yeah, that fiber helps him. So they were like oatmeal in the mornings. My son eats 4 packets of oatmeal every single morning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. It was kind of cool to hear all the stuff that she was telling me about foods and how much it affects their neurodivergent, brains and stuff like that. And she actually told me that my son may have ADHD, but because I already do all these things with his diet, that's why his test scores showed up so low. And I was like, that is crazy to think about that the food, I mean, it's nice to think about that she kind of validated everything. The food that I have been working so hard on for my son may actually be helping because,
Okay.
she's like, the scores are almost there. Like he was 2 points off from, being positive for ADHD.
Okay.
So it's just crazy to think about that kind of stuff. Like, okay, so it's helping. And I do think
Yeah.
that it helps a lot. So nutrition, obviously, oh, and I have one more thing to add. Sorry, I know I'm like rambling on with this one, but we bought, and I should go grab them, but whatever, it's fine. Oh, we bought these things at the dollar store, these plates that have the portions in them. So it's like got the main one and then like the little one on the side and then two more and then like a little cup holder at the dollar store. Okay, they're fantastic. And it reminds me, like literally when I was a stay-at-home mom, it reminded me, I would look at it and I'd be like, oh, something's missing. So vegetable in one, fruit in the other, carb in the other, and then main like protein in the main, right? Or I would do dairy instead of carb. So anyway, I would stare at it and I'd be like, okay, got the fruit, got the vegetable, got the dairy. and that is like how I kept track with my kids. And it's like the little lunchroom trays, right? Like you go
Yeah.
them through and whatever. And it was just so easy to do it when you have it broken up like that. And so we use those for dinner every single night with all of the kids in this house. And it literally is like life changing.
That's awesome. And honestly, like it helps you keep on track. By the way, those plates last in the dishwasher. So just because they're from the dollar store doesn't mean they're crap. But
So
um
true.
yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm not good at that. I'm like here's peanut butter and jelly, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. Okay, this next one is pretty important to me. Spend free time with your kids. This one says at least once a week. I'm pretty sure that's like for older kids. When you have a little kid, you need like 2 hours a day to like, in my opinion, to like do what they want to do. I mean, maybe 2 hours would be more like on a weekend, and on the weekday, maybe it's like a half hour because homework and stuff gets in the way. But just do whatever the fuck they want to do. Like that, like free time for them is not okay, baby, let's go, you know, because like I like board games, so I tend to force my board games on my son. He doesn't like board games. Like he'll play them, but he wants to play cards. He wants me to be on the floor playing cards with him. Like that is more meaningful to him than my kind of free time. So like I suggest doing what they want to do every single day. When they're younger, obviously when they're older and they have their own lives and friends, that kind of stuff, like definitely at minimum once a week, do the family dinners and stuff. But that's a big thing. When you're absent from your child's life, they they will tend to follow other, find other role models. If you want to be the role model in your parents or in your child's life, you have to be present, like very present. Not on your phone, not on, you know, watching a movie together, like no screens, like looking at their face and like that's like super important to me.
I love that. And I feel like it's so important, especially as they get older and it gets busier, to cut that time out. Like we had it over the summer. I had a reminder every single night saying family time. Like it just would go off. Now I removed that because we have baseball 3 times a week and blah 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 and whatever.
Life
But like I do
happens.
have it. I just set it up actually, I think 2 weeks ago for at least once a week. And then like um the other night it was my son's birthday, so like you anything you want. And I tried to rotate it between it was just between my kids, but then my husband and I were like, no, I want like we want in on it too. So now it's rotated between the four of us on
Yeah.
who gets to pick what we're doing that night. So it's fun and I love it. And I think it's so important.
Yeah, see, like with me, it's so easy. Like it's just me and him. So it's whatever he wants to do, and I'll suck it up. And like every once in a while, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take him to a park because he likes to do the park, and then I can do my work or whatever. And like I can do that guilt free, or we'll go to a friend's house and I get to hang out with my friends and have my adult time, but he gets to play with the kids. I do that kind of stuff too. But the one on one and, hanging out with your kids, like it's super important to tag on to that kind of because like you're trying to find something fun or whatever. This next one is finding the funny. So like I looked at it as like find the fun, like be fun, be playful, don't always be yelling at them. And I think that ties into the family time because it reminds you that they're a person, they're not a robot. And so when you're finding the fun and you know um having those making those fun moments and memories with them, it just I feel like it's a natural balanced parenting because you look at them differently instead of like you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like that's so something my aunt on my dad's side, so not your aunt or your mom. But she told me she also had kids very young. I think she was 16 or 17 when she had my cousins. And anyway, she told me so she had her kids and then the youngest was in high school when she met her current husband.
Okay.
And he had 2 young kids at that point. So she kind of got two sets of parenting. She like had her kids, they went through high school, whatever, and then now she's got these 2 young girls that she's going through again. And she told me once, she was like, with my kids, I was so angry. I wanted them to do everything. I wanted them to listen to me. I was like, like a freaking drill sergeant. Like, this is how it is, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is how it's going to be. And she goes, with these kids, She's like, I laugh at them with them like so
Yes.
much. I shouldn't say at
Yes.
them, but like I mean there's a line, right? Like if your kid is upset and crying, you don't want to laugh
Don't
in their
laugh at
face
them.
because
Yeah.
but
But if they're
also like
like,
my kid, yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, so like last night I have a funny example. So like my mom was helping my son with his homework or whatever. Well, he had like he let out a little fart and apparently it smelled really bad and my mom was like, "Oh my gosh, like you need to go take care of that or whatever." And as he's walking away, he's like, "Good job, butt. That was a good one." And so like I started laughing because like yes, my mom just got farted near, but
Fart buster, fart bombed or whatever.
whatever, yeah. But like I loved his humor walking away from that situation. Good job, butt. Like that was a
Yeah,
good one. Yeah. So,
I
so
I
yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah,
And
it's
we, yeah,
hilarious.
there's so many things. Like one time my kid dropped something and like the look on his face, and I just started busting up laughing. And it was like a juice cup or something.
Oh,
Like it was a
sure.
huge mess, okay? But the look, like oh my God, the kind of look, and it was just
Like
like I can't help it. So I just laugh at him and I
I
like
know.
obviously like help him clean up. But it kind of helps too because if you're always screaming at your kids, it's just not
That's all
good. So
they're
you
gonna
have
remember.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. So like those situations, it's funny. Like just laugh. And okay, and I know I'm gonna point out the obvious, but the accidental cuss words that our kids, oh my gosh. Like
Oh
this was years ago,
yeah.
but like our son, he did, we were at the table and he was eating dinner and he dropped something off of his fork and he went, shit. And I just like,
But
yeah,
it's like I
you discipline
know.
them and you're like, no, no, that's a bad word. Don't say that. I don't think he's ever said it since, but like, it's funny. It's funny.
I know, I know. And like yeah, speaking of bad words, and like he'll say stuff that like I say a lot because I think he said oh shit a couple times. But then I'm really bad at saying the F word if people haven't noticed. And he hasn't actually said that one yet, but I apologize every time I do it because I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry. Like I shouldn't be, like, if I expect you not to talk like that, I expect me not to talk like that. So, blah. But yeah, it's those, they're still funny and like the moments and like, and your kid seeing you laugh is like such a good thing because they do want to make you happy at the end of the day. They try so hard to make everything perfect, and then I think as kids get older, it's harder because then parents have higher expectations, and then they have more expectations when it comes to like schoolwork, getting a job, all these things, and then eventually like the fun goes away because when they're young and they're little, we're like, oh, they're young and little, they deserve fun, they deserve to go to the park. It's like okay, but you deserve fun as a teenager, you deserve fun as an adult, you deserve fun your entire life, like not just because they're little and cute, so stick to finding the fun and the game nights and forcing the fun and yeah, and I don't know what else I was going to say. I had something, but it evaporated. But
What a good word, evaporated. Um, I agree. And even as an adult, somebody told me once when we were going through COVID and it was a rough go, they said put joy on your calendar. And that's something that weekly we have on our calendar. Like something, game night, something you need to
hmm
have it on there because literally like put joy on your calendar. Like it's just makes sense. Just do it. It's gonna make you
yep,
feel better.
yep.
And with your kids, like do it for them too.
Well, because especially you get distracted in life, and so you're like, I have this and this and this and this and this and this, and it's like, okay, but don't forget me, like the fun.
Right.
But
Right.
okay, this last one, and it kind of ties into it. There's a couple more on here, and I didn't read through them because all some of them are kind of stupid. But this last one I liked because a lot of parents forget to do this, but take it easy on yourself. So like the day gets busy, the weeks get busy. You have, one kid is one thing, but then you have multiple kids, and then you have the sports, you have the school starting, you have the plays, you have the um, disciplinary actions, you have to schedule in the fun time, you have all these things, and it's exhausting. And like last night, I got mad because I'm like, so like my house has been the whole house has been sick. Like my grandma, my mom, my son, even my dog has been throwing up and I'm having to take care of 90% of it. My grandma's been pretty easy, but I've been having to take care of everybody, and I'm just like I'm getting to like my breaking point, and like I don't like taking care of people. I know most moms like to like they chose to be a mom. They love taking care of people. They love being needed and that kind of stuff. I am not that way. Um, and so it's like it's hard on me to like have the positive attitude and that kind of stuff. And like my dog, when he throws up, we have to like feed him smaller and smaller portions until his stomach calms down, and then we can feed him larger portions again. Um, but I gave him a small portion yesterday, and so everything was fine. I'm like, cool, then I can do this. And then I have 3 jobs, and so I was like, okay, I got to start working on my job. And oh, we have dinner coming soon. So I told my son that I need you to focus and do your homework. And then, I got to do the work. And then I'm like, okay, like, oh, my mom needs something real quick. Okay, let me do this. And then the dog threw up, and I'm like, no. And I just yell at him. And like, when your dog throws up, like, don't get mad at your fucking dog. Okay.
I know.
And I'm just like, I just took it out on him, and he looks at me, and I couldn't even, like, I knew I wouldn't. I wasn't supposed to yell at him. I knew that was not his fault. I knew all these things. And like both like my mom, my son, well, all 3 of them, and my dog just look at me, and I'm just like, just like, and I'm like, I have so much to do. Like the last thing I want to do is pick up. So I'm like, because my mom can't do it because she'll just make more vomit messes. My son can't do it because he'll smear it or something. So I'm like, so I'm the only one that can do it. And so, so So, anyways, I had to calm down. I got my work done, and then I went to dinner, and then it was fine. And I calmed down after, at dinner, and I kind of gave myself a mantra, and I was like, I did my job today. I did my part-time job today. My son got his homework done. I still picked up the vomit. I was able to give my dog more food so he didn't have an empty stomach. I was able to do so. I'm like, I had to like tell myself this mantra that I'm doing okay. I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean? And so, but it is hard. It is so
It's
hard.
hard. I do that all the time. I tell my husband, like, I was a good mom today. I was a good wife today. Like, I did laundry, I did dishes, I did whatever, like the basic things. But I'm like, I feel good. I meal prepped. Like, it's just one of those things for like, and like words mean a lot, even if it's to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not saying that to like tell my husband, I was really good today. I deserve a compliment. It was like, I feel accomplished today. Like, I did
Yeah.
good. And back to we mentioned it a lot in the beginning, but I have a self-care to-do list
Oh
because
yeah.
I struggle with that. And I have been neglecting it so much lately. Like, I don't know, like, look at these nails. Do you see how grown out they are? It's terrible.
I mean, some
Awful.
people like it that. I don't know.
No, I have to get them done. But anyway, it's so hard because like you said, we have some stuff going on with our family right now and everybody's mind is all over the place and it's absolutely crazy. So we, are trying to do the best that we can in every situation and you know, I feel like we need to give ourselves grace.
Well, the other thing too is speaking of laundry. So like you're good at, doing the laundry and putting it away and folding it and all the things. Um, like I like consistently do my laundry. Okay, every weekend I make sure that's like part of my thing. But I have one, two, like 3 or 4 bags of laundry that is clean but not put away. And I keep telling my son, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we have clean clothes. I'm not doing it right now. I'm tired. Whatever. And he's like, okay, and like he's totally fine with it. But I'm like, I just, so again, I take it easy on myself because I'm exhausted taking care of everybody, doing all the things or whatever. At least I have clean clothes. It's not like we're wearing nasty things. Like if that's the bare minimum, and then when my life calms down a little bit, I can put all my laundry away. You know what I mean? Or when
Yeah.
yeah. So definitely take it easy on yourself.
And I feel like everybody knows this, but like you should always have a thing, right? Like I want my thing and I'm trying to make myself do this, but like go to the gym or go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like I want my decompress thing. Like as soon as my husband gets home, I just like leave him for an hour so that I can go do something else. And I feel like that I know a lot of women do that. Like a lot of people go to the gym and take care of themselves in that kind of way. And it's like they're decompressed and they're, mind cleanse and all that stuff. And I feel like that's
Mm,
so important. And there are so many of us that don't do that. And it's like that's part of giving yourself a break, literally taking a break, leaving your home and taking care of yourself. And I feel
yeah.
like that's even if it's not the gym, if the gym just sounds awful to you, like go sit in your car for an hour and listen to an audiobook or whatever, just like get away or go to your bedroom or whatever. And I think it's important. So I'm gonna wrap it up with a quote about parenting, and I thought this one was kind of fitting, not so much to what we were just talking about because we were talking about the parent side of it, but I'm gonna go back to the kid side of it. Um, but I think it's something we all need to remember, especially with yeah, just some of the things we were talking about. Um, the way we talk to our children becomes their inner voice. Peggy O'Mara said that quote. Isn't that
Huh.
cute?
It is pretty cute because I mean it could be good or bad. So if you're always yelling at your kid, that's their inner. So just yeah, be kind and they look up to you. Our whole lives we look up to our parents. Even if they're bad parents, I feel like we look up to our parents.
Yeah.
But that's like perfect. Yeah, that's a
It,
good one.
it made me feel that way when we were talking about the laughing at your kids or being funny
Yeah.
with your kids. I was like, okay,
Yep.
great. So my kid's gonna be like a clown.
Hey man, I think fart and poop is funny and so does my son. So
Hashtag boy mom.
please remember to like, follow, and comment to connect with us. We are now on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook pages. Just search Calling Cousins. Love you all. Bye.
Love you. Bye.